Ladies and gentlemen, what's up everybody? Alright, we're out here on a Thursday night on good old Win Way. In this video, we're going to talk about setting your expectations for your first trip to Vietnam or trip to Vietnam. How to make it better for you so you don't get something built up and in your head and think it's going to be one thing when it's not one thing. This is my 2023 guide videos to Vietnam, and yeah, so we're just going to kind of chop it up and get right into it. All right. So yeah, let's set expectations for your trip, your first initial trip to Vietnam. You know, we're going to talk about pros and cons and things that might be an issue for some, but for others won't be. First off, have you ever been like to any other, you know, country in Southeast Asia, or have you been to India or places like this where there's you're gonna see trash. It's as simple as that, and it's gonna turn you off in some ways. You know, every time I go to Phu Quoc and every time I read an article about Phu Quoc, how it's like one of the best travel islands in the world, I kind of start to chuckle. Phu Quoc's great, but like, there's garbage all over the island. I mean, how can you put that even in the top 20 list when there's garbage all around it? Like, if you go to a resort, yeah, they're gonna have their trash cleaned up in their part, but you can just go to an area where there's not a resort and there's trash everywhere. So like, when they put that high up into like a system of saying it's like a top destination, I love Phu Quoc. I think it's amazing. Like, Duset Princess is the best hotel there. No one can tell me any different. I stayed at Salinda as well. Watch my Phu Quoc series if you want information on it. Phu Quoc is kind of all about where you are location-wise, and or it depends on what you're trying to do with that island excursion part of your vacation. Do you just want to do a resort experience and stay at your hotel the whole time? Then you can stay at any hotel in the place. If you're going to eat the food there, you know, drink there, and you have no desire to leave, you're just there to like really chill out for 5 or 6 days, so the hotel won't matter. But if you want to go and be like go out at night and go to different restaurants and go to bars and stuff, you want to be in that central area where Duset Princess is located. So the other thing that people get like really triggered about is the traffic. It's not that big of a deal, guys. It's the way it works here. I don't get frustrated at it. Maybe my first, I don't know, 6 months of driving, a few times I would try to get Western in my head, but it's just not the way it works here. You know, it moves at a fast pace, and if you're not comfortable with that, then don't drive around. But as far as like crossing the street and stuff, things I've been seeing from new tourists is they're trying to like run across the street. I do not advise you ever run across the street here. The way you cross the street here is just slowly walk in, and they'll go around you. Sometimes you'll have to stop for like a car or a truck because they just don't care. For the most part, everybody's looking to go around you, so they need that little bit of timing up front to then adjust for you doing the walking. So I don't recommend that you run across it. You know, the other thing people seem to complain about, and I've been a non-smoker now for almost 3 months, is the air pollution. I still don't notice anything. Maybe my lungs still aren't better, but again, I grew up in pretty much Chicago and then moved to LA, which has terrible air quality. So maybe I've just never noticed it because I never really lived in a good air quality area ever in my life. So that could be the reasoning for that. You know, other things that you'll have to adjust for is, especially if you've never really been here, is customer service isn't a priority. And it isn't really anywhere. You'll get good customer service at like Western bars, usually Western food places, depending on like how well the staff was trained and stuff like this, and how much Western stuff the staff has watched and like their understanding of English. And then the other big thing is them traveling to other countries. So if you go to other countries and stuff, which a lot of Vietnamese do not. I'd say most of the population doesn't even leave outside of the country, and if they do, they just go to Thailand, which isn't, you know, a whole heck of a lot better with the kind of the stuff I'm talking about. So I mean, it's an adjustment, and you'll get used to it, but you don't have to tip here. So like, you have to believe that in your head too. Like, you have to get it in your head that you don't have to tip here. So by not having to tip, customer service should not be expected to be amazing. Oh, yeah, thumbnail. Thumbnail. Always love it when you can get a thumbnail. So like, customer service is to be desired at a lot of locations. Other places are really great. Like we just did this video at the Gangs. That was the first time I ever had poor service there. But we were there at 5:30, like right when they opened pretty much. So like, and it's right after Tet, so people are rusty and still hungover. Like Tet culture, you drink with the family every day. I mean, that is the way it operates. Like you get smashed out of your mind every day and you don't really have an option in it. If you're totally sober, like I've said before, you can be like, look, I just don't drink, and they'll let you out of it. But yeah, so I just chalk it up to that, and not every place is perfect all the time, but usually the customer service at the Gangs is top notch. The quality of food is top notch. Everything is top notch. They've got some kind of understanding of wanting people to come back. Usually with Vietnam, it's just get the money now, make a quick hit, essentially. Like get that money and don't worry about if they come back. So I think that's an L lady boy. I'm not sure. So you got to be mindful of these things and not let it get to you, you know, like if you start to let this stuff pile up and you get mad and you get frustrated about it because you're trying to compare it to America or Australia or whatever country you're coming from to your first visit here, essentially, it's just not the way to do it. Like I've talked about this a bunch of times. Vietnam's either you love it or you hate it. Just like my channel, in my opinion. You either like my channel or you do not like it. And you do not like me, which is fine. That's the way the world works. So I'm no broke tears over this or getting into my feelings in any way. It is what it is, excuse me. So like, you just have to understand that's part of the beast here. I've said this a bunch of times too. I think things will eventually change here once the subway line is done. I know I keep pounding home the subway, but if you'd ever been to a country before that didn't have a subway and then saw the metro get installed and then saw the change, you would understand exactly what I'm saying. And then of course there'll be some things that will be very difficult to change, like customer service will not be an easy situation to fix here. It will not be. It will take serious training. It'll take more companies that need to hire like somebody from other parts of the world, whether it be Singapore, you know, Tokyo, or Japan, Korea, other places that have customer service down pretty well, to then come teach it to the staff of these places. It should be starting to be taught in school here. I have no idea what they teach in school here though. It sounds like it's a bit of you know, dare I say, propaganda type deal. I mean, that might not necessarily be true. Well, let me turn this off. See, I forgot where I left off because I had to walk through a bunch of speakers because YouTube's gotten more crazy about copywriting. Before we get to the rest of the video, I encourage you to sign up for the Patreon because 50% of the content's now going to go on Patreon. I'm not going to continue to put everything out on YouTube with the ridiculousness that they're pulling lately with their copywriting. And yeah, if you want to hear all about that, sign up for Patreon. It's the newest video on Patreon. I break down all the reasons. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so had to dodge another speaker. They're increasingly becoming more and more and more here, which is not cool, but it is what it is. So anyways, I think I'm going to put one video a day out on the channel now and then one video a day on Patreon. Yeah, if you want to hear all about that, you guys sign up for the Patreon. All the Patreon content is exclusively uploaded just to Patreon now, not onto YouTube. As far as YouTube members go, you'll also get a YouTube members video once or twice a week just for the members of YouTube. So I just got to get it out there that that's what's happening, just so you know. So yeah, I think we talked about a lot of the stuff, like the expectations and this not and whatnot. But at the back end of all this stuff, let's talk about all the pros. Like, you know, Vietnam's amazing. Like, especially if you're a single dude looking for love. If you're a single dude looking for a woman, I'm just gonna be honest, this is a good place for you, especially Saigon. And you shouldn't limit your trip just to Saigon. I mean, some people really love Saigon, but I think for your first trip in Vietnam, you should definitely be going to Saigon, Hanoi, Sapa or Hai Long. I prefer Sapa, even though I haven't been to Hai Long. I just hear there's really not much to do but a boat, so I don't know how much I'll like that. I'm sure it looks really picturesque and great, and I'll do it this year, and we'll see. I'll really get to judge it then. But from what I can tell, I probably am not going to dig it over Sapa. I mean, I won't say that until it's done, but you should also be going to Da Nang if you have time to. Nha Trang, you know, Kan Dao Island is probably the best island. I don't know why Phu Quoc Island's talked about more than Kan Dao Island. Kan Dao Island's actually clean. They've managed to have a no trash philosophy on the entire island. So everybody picks up their trash and throws it away. They've got great cleaning people there. So I think, you know, I think Kan Dao is probably the wonder of Vietnam. I don't know why it's so slept on. Not many people watch my Kan Dao Island series. I'll actually, I'll link you to a Kan Dao Island video at the end of this video. I think it's the best island, hands down. Han Son Island's also a great island. You know, would I put Phu Quoc first? I don't necessarily think so. Phu Quoc is more like Disneyland meets an island. Like it's like super main attraction for Vietnamese to go is to go there and go to Vin Wonders, and Vin Safari, and all the Vin stuff there. And Vin, if you didn't know, like that's the. What's up, dude? How are you, man? How you doing, bro? Long time no see. So like that guy's the famous Africa TV streamer. So he's the one that sits down with all the lady bar girls outside and does like interviews where they tell them like sob stories and stuff, which usually aren't accurate. Well, since I gotta walk through all this again, let me pause. I'm at Kan Dao Island, so I can tell my brain. Roughly 3 minutes later, I'm through the 42 speakers. So yeah, Kan Dao Island is, it's in my opinion, it's not to be missed, especially since you can fly there from Ho Chi Minh in like 45 minutes. It is going to be expensive for a nice hotel though. It's going to be like 100, 150 bucks a night. But you don't need to be there that long. I mean, you can go around the island. I heard there's some really beautiful stuff from like, if anybody watched the Kan Dao series from the live streams and the guys I met on live stream, that gave me a bunch of good information. But Kan Dao's got some amazing seafood. It's absolutely pristine and has the clearest water that I know of in all of Vietnam. Now, Han Son Island had extremely clear water too, but there was trash. You know, that is probably, in my opinion, argumentatively, the biggest issue within Vietnam is their trash situation and the lack of running any kind of public stuff on it. Where'd Grandma go? Oh, she got a bubble in the eye. Not happy. So like, trash is their biggest thing, and until they run some kind of public, you know, campaign on it. I've said this again a bunch of times. Yes, there's some repetition of information that I've said before, but you know, they did so well with COVID. Why would you not, as a leader, already be like, well, let's just do the same thing like we did with COVID with trash. Like, let's make it a national talking point. Let's start making everybody aware. Let's start rewarding people for throwing their stuff away, like in Germany, where you get money back. Like, it wouldn't take a whole lot to turn this thing around, like before it gets a little bit too late. But again, time will tell. So as I was saying, you know, I think Vietnam, you either love it within your first 2 days and you're like, wow, I can't wait to come back here a million times, or you're not gonna like it. But setting your expectations high and expecting that you're gonna be coming to like a Western world standard of things just isn't gonna happen. And if you do really want that Western world type vibe, stay in Nguyen Huế. You know, it's the most westernized area of, I think, all of Vietnam, as far as I know. I mean, it has probably the most amount of cleanliness to it, and good restaurants and good bars. You're gonna pay a little bit more. My guide for Nguyen Huế came out before this, so you'll have a really good 2023 guide to a bunch of places here where if you have any to add into that video, you can go and add your favorite places off Nguyen Huế, but just don't go crazy with your expectations. And of course, if you're a single dude and you're looking to date some chicks, you're gonna have a great time. Fire up your Tinder, do it all. Meet chicks in person. You know, if a girl looks at you here longer than, I don't know, 3 seconds, and then looks at you again, you've got permission to go up to her and ask for her phone number. She's pretty much giving you the go-ahead, and they very much do that here. I've noticed it's the same in the Philippines too. They'll give you a lot of eye contact and kind of confirm that you can come up and have a conversation. Now, as far as women dating here, I would say you would have to have a like for Vietnamese men, probably. I have no idea what that spectrum looks like. I've yet to really talk to, only one foreigner I've talked to that actually even dates Vietnamese in my 3 years of living here, 3.5 years. So I've only met one that preferred to date Vietnamese. And she was like a goth alt girl that was pretty small herself. So like, she usually wasn't taller than the Vietnamese guy. But 90% of foreign women that I meet here date foreign dudes. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, they're not showing the Asian love, which is up to that person. Whatever you like is what you like, you know. And as far as Vietnamese women, I think on a whole they're pretty great women. They're pretty loyal. They're pretty fierce. They're definitely a little fiery too, but you know, what women aren't? It's kind of stupid to generalize a race of women, to be honest with you. It's kind of like not what I'm trying to say. I think women are kind of the same a little bit all over, but like there's less of a watch what pronoun you're using here. Like, you know what I'm saying. There's way less of that like Western thing that's going on in the West with like a good deal amount of women, you know. I talked about it on a stream, but like most Western women that think they're of high value are looking for dudes that are over 6'1". And I think it's like less than 5% or 10% of the entire world population is over 6 foot. So they're already looking for an extremely small percentage. And then on the back end of that, every dude's looking for like a 10. So like it goes both ways. I'm not trying to be politically correct either, because I live in the real world, but like I'm just trying to be thoughtful with what I'm saying, if you get what I'm saying. So I think the pros for me hardcore outweigh everything. The food here is cheap. You know, the women are nice. The drinking culture here is cheap. The country's beautiful. If you can get past the trash thing, you'll absolutely find it beautiful. The weather's great. It is a bit hot, but what? I'll take hot over cold, you know, any day out of any week. I can't say enough good things about it, you know. Even if you do start driving around, you'll get the hang of it. Just don't go fast. Don't drive like a local. Drive slow, take your time, and things will be fine for you. There's no need to get into a crazy like hurry about stuff, if you know what I'm saying. So if you use those keys to success, then you'll probably have a successful trip. You know, like I said, the food is delicious, the food's cheap. I mean, it's endless possibilities of stuff to do here, especially if you just don't park up in Saigon. Like, just staying in Saigon, I would more so recommend, honestly, for single guys that are really interested in dating. That's probably the range of people I would say is good for staying in Saigon for like a week or two. You should really get out, go see the country, figure out where you really like to be at. Like, some people prefer Da Nang over Nha Trang, or Nha Trang over Da Nang. I prefer Nha Trang. I don't need what Da Nang offers, which is just more places to go to, I guess. I like that Nha Trang's just like a few things and smaller on a whole. And I do not like Nha Trang when it's busy though. Like, still even now, I wouldn't travel. I don't know how busy Phu Quoc and stuff will be. I think there'll be a lot of expat tourism, foreigner tourism at like Phu Quoc and Da Nang and Nha Trang right now. I prefer to go to all those places in the off season. That's just me. I like it when there's less people at places. This is, again, just my preference. That doesn't mean that I'm telling you not to go during the high season. That's just the way I am as a traveler, you know. I think I don't have much more to add to this video. I think I really hit what I wanted to hit with the point. Hello. I hit every point I wanted to really hit. I think Vietnam's what you make of it. If you come with a very open mind and very willing to see past slight things, then you'll have a great time here. If you want it to be perfect, the other thing people complain about is the sidewalk, which I still don't get. I walk around more than anyone I know, and the sidewalks have never given me an issue here. Oh gosh, there's a motorbike parked there. How hard is it to just go around the motorbike? Like, I don't get that argument of the sidewalks are terrible, I can't walk around. I don't know. Maybe if you're like 89 and you can't see or something, I guess the sidewalk could be a problem. But just because there's a random motorbike on the sidewalk, like, well, I can't walk around it. I can't go 2 feet to the side and walk around it. It's not a reason for me to get upset. Like, I don't. That mindset kind of is a little weird. Some people get a lot, like, real nitpicky in this stuff. So that's the video. I appreciate if you like, commented, and subscribed, of course, to the channel. Like I said, a lot of content will be going on Patreon now. I don't really like the things that YouTube is heading in direction-wise. I mean, again, I talk about that on my Patreon channel. So if you want to check that out, you can sign up for just $5 and do a test run and watch through the content that's on there. It's up to you. Like, I just have to put the information out there so you guys know what's going on. So that is the video. I thank you for watching. Stay frosty. Any tips and tricks or anything you want to add, just drop it in the comment section. All right, guys? Stay frosty. Peace out.